saying these are all words that will help you. When you see these words in a word problem, this is the mathematical operation that it's actually telling you to do. And for instance, the turnaround words, if you see something, if they write something that is, they say like 3 from 10 or subtract 3 from 10, that's a turnaround word. It does not mean 3 minus 10. That's not what they're saying. They actually are telling you to say 10, subtract 3. Take the 3 away from 10. Okay, so when you see than, from, those are turnaround words. Those are the trickiest ones. Okay, but these words are really good to review as we are trying to write equations. Okay, so here's our first problem here. So let's read the problem and let's see what it's actually wanting us to find, what they're telling us. It says, Tyler researches local plumbers to fix a kitchen water leak in his house. Amazing Plumbers charges $35 an hour, and they told us H. So H must stand for hours, with a $50 initial fee. Tyler wants to figure out how to represent the cost of hiring Amazing Plumbers. So the first box here, part A, says, well, first write the equation. What's the equation to represent the total cost C? If Tyler is going to hire this plumber, we know that the cost is based on how many hours they work. That should be common sense, right? Plumber comes to your house. They usually charge you just for showing up, even if they don't even have to fix anything or work any hours. They just charge you for driving up to your house. That's how plumbing, electricians, that's how the business works. They charge you an initial fee or a service fee. So they're telling us we want to write an equation to represent the total cost. So I know that I need to say the cost is going to be equal to some equation. It's based on the number of hours. So let's go back to our problem and let's see where is our important information. Well, I know they told me that they're going to charge me $35 an hour with that $50 initial fee. Okay. So how much is Tyler going to have to pay? Well, remember, he's got to pay that $50 fee no matter what. So we know his cost is going to be the $50 no matter what. He's going to have to pay $50. Plus, what if they actually figure out the problem and say, yeah, we can fix this today, but it's going to cost us, it's going to take us 2 hours to fix it. Well, aren't they going to charge him the $35 per hour? So that per, that's one of those words. We can come back up here and you'll notice that the word per, well, actually it's not up here and I really wish it was. The word per actually should be with multiplication, because if you're going to be charged $5 per candy bar, I don't know, and you bought 10 candy bars, how are you going to figure out how much you're going to pay? Well, you guys know how to figure that out. You know you're going to have to pay 5 times 10. You would multiply in your brain. So per actually is a multiplication word, okay? It's a rate. So they're going to charge him $35 per hour. But how many hours is it going to work? Are they going to work? Well, we don't know. That's why we're writing an equation. So we're just going to sit it beside there. We know we're going to do 35 times however many hours they work. So remember, in algebra, we just write the variable next to it. That means 35 times h. And we've talked about that in solving equations, because to undo that, we would actually divide. So there you go. That's our equation. $50 plus $35 times however many hours they work. Okay, if the company works a total of 3 hours, so now they're telling us they're working 3 hours, what will the cost C be? Okay, so they're asking us to find C this time. So they're saying the cost C, what is it going to be? Well, we know it equals $50 plus 35 times however many hours they worked. But didn't they tell us how many hours they were there? They said they're going to work 3 hours. So now we can actually plug in for our hours and we can solve it. Okay, well, let's do that. So we know our cost equals 50 plus, well, what is 35 times 3? That's what we need to know. Now you can use your calculator for this. I know that it's 105. Okay, I do some mental math. 35 times 2 is 70, plus I got to add another 35 to that. That's 105. But you can use your calculator for that. So the total cost must equal 50 plus 105, which is $155. So there's my answer for that one. So this is the answer you would type into your slide. So I hope you're working these on paper, and you can even take a picture of the problem and insert it there too of your work on paper. Okay, well, let's go to part C. After hiring Amazing Plumbers, Tyler's total charge was $255. How many hours H did the company work? Oh, this one's different. This one says that we know that his total charge, he had to pay them $225. So they're saying how many hours now. They're asking us to find the hours. So we're still going to go back to our original equation. But this time, instead of plugging in for H, we don't know H. This time we know C. They told us the total charge C was the $225. So when we write our equation, we're going to plug in again, but this time we're going to plug in for C. So I know that $225, that was my total charge. That's got to equal the $50 plus $35 times, well, however many hours they worked, but I don't know how many hours. So this looks like an equation that I can solve. So this is where I would draw my line and actually solve for H. And you probably could do this in your head. You can probably say, oh, well, I could figure this out without even writing an equation. Yes, you can. So maybe pause the video here and do that. How would you figure it out? Well, I know if I paid $225, I probably need to subtract the $50 that we paid. And then I probably need to divide by 35, and that'll tell me how many hours. So if you're thinking through that in your brain, that's exactly what we're about to do on the paper. So I'm looking here and I'm saying, well, I want my H by itself. There's a 50. So I need to subtract the 50 on both sides. Well, 225 minus 50 is 175. This is gone, and I'm left with 35H. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is, well, I want my H by itself. So what am I going to do? Well, 35 is multiplied. Remember, multiplied times H. So we need to do the opposite. Let me grab a different color. So we need to divide by 35 on both sides. So I can see that H, the number of hours they worked, it's got to be equal to 175 divided by 35. Now you can use your calculator for that. It should be 5 hours. So they worked a total of 5 hours. Okay, so let's look at one more together, and then I'm going to let you work 3 and 4 on your own. I think. Let me check. Flower arrangements. Okay. I was thinking there was one. I like that one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let you guys work 2 and 3 on your own, and I'm going to work number 4 with you. Because 2 and 3 are very, very similar to number 1. So if you can do number 1 with me, 2 and 3 are going to be set up very similarly. So actually, let's work number 4 together. So Joe has this garden, and they told us it was a rectangle. The length is represented by this amount, and the width is represented by this amount. Joe knows the perimeter of the garden is going to be 500 units. Write an equation to represent the perimeter in terms of A and B. Simplify the equation. It says you will not be able to solve it yet. Okay, so we know we have a garden. I don't have a part C, so I'm actually going to come over here and I'm going to draw my picture in part C for you guys. So they told me it was rectangular. They told me the length and they told me the width. Okay, they said write an equation to represent the perimeter. So I know that perimeter equals, how do I find perimeter of any shape? Any shape. I don't care if it's a rectangle, square, I don't care what it is, any shape. We just need to add up, and you got to add up all your sides. So remember, you guys tend to only add up 2 sides. So what do I do in order to remember to add up all my sides? I always label all my sides. 4b minus 2. I want to label my sides. That way I'm going to remember to actually add up my sides. Okay, so I know my perimeter equals all my sides added up. So I need to add all 4 of them. Now, I'm looking back up here in my original problem, and I'm seeing that they told me the perimeter is going to be 500 units. So my P on this side is actually 500. 500 equals all these sides added up together. So that's what I need to do. I need to add up all my sides. Okay, so in order to do that, remember, we can only combine like terms. So I'm looking and I have 2 A's here and I have 2 more A's here. So how many total A's do I have? Yep, 4 A's. Okay, and grab another color. I see that I have 4 B's and 4 more B's. How many total B's is that? Yep, that's 8 B's. All right, next. I see that I have 4 plus a 4. Well, that's 8 minus a 2. Oh, that's 6. And that's actually a minus another 2. I kind of circled over it. So 6 minus 2 is 4. There is my expression for my perimeter. That's an equation. But look, I have A and B, so I can't actually solve it yet. But this is the equation right here. Whoops, let me redo that. This is the equation right here that I need to use. Okay, so now part B. If the value of A is 4, what's the value of B? Oh, so now they're actually telling me what the value of A is. So I can come back over to my equation now, and I can use that information, and I can plug in for one of the pieces and solve it. The same way that we had to plug in up here, because notice my equation up here had 2 variables, C and H. Well, I couldn't solve for it until I actually was given in part, this part here, part B, I was given a value for C, H, so I could solve for C. Well, in part C, I was given a value for H, and then I was given a value for C so that I could solve for H. So notice, if you have 2 variables, you're going to have to plug in for something before we can actually solve, okay? So that's what they've done. They've given me a value for A so that I could solve for B. They want me to find the value of B. So here we go. I'm going to do that. So I know that 500 is equal to 4 times whatever A is. Now remember, they gave me the value of A. They said it was 4. So I'm going to plug that in, plus 8 times B, I don't know what B is, plus 4. Okay, so now we can simplify a little more. Well, that means that 500 is equal to, well, what's 4 times 4? Well, that's 16 plus 8b plus 4. So now I am ready to solve. I can do all my steps. Remember, step number 1 is draw your line. Look for your parentheses. Don't have any. Distribute. Don't have to do that. Combine like terms on each side. Okay, well, I'm looking over here and I see that I have a 16 and I have a positive 4. Can't I combine those together? I can. 16 plus 4 is just 20. So those are combined now. Awesome. I still have the 8b on this side, and I'm going to bring down my 500. Okay, so let's move on. What do I do now? Well, I want to get b by itself. So I need to look at what's next to it. I have a 20. So I need to subtract 20 on both sides. Well, 20 minus 20 is now gone. That just leaves me 8b on this side, and 500 minus 20 is 480. Remember, you can use your calculator for those steps. So what's next? Well, I'm very close to getting b by itself, and I hope you're all screaming at me at this point. Ms. Robinson, just divide by 8, and we're done. You are right, we are. B is going to equal whatever 480 divided by 8 is. It's actually 60. You can use your calculator for that. There it is. What is the value of B? It's 60. Now, is that actually one of my side lengths? No, it's not, because my side length was actually 4b minus 2. So I would have to do a little more math to actually figure out what these side lengths were. But that's not what they asked me to find. Now we could easily do that because we know that 4 times our value of B, which is 60, minus 2 is going to be that side length. Well, 4 times 60 is 240. Then if I subtracted 2, my side length is actually 238. But again, that's extra. This is all extra right here. They didn't actually ask me for that. They just asked me to find B. In the future, they will go ahead and say, hey, what is my side length then? Or my width? What is the width? But for now, we were just told to find B, and we did it. So I want you guys to work 2 and 3 on your own. Again, you can type into the slide and then take a picture of your work and insert your work there on the slide so that you'll have it, just like I worked in each part. That'll be the easiest way for you, all right? So if you have any questions, please let me know. But again, 2 and 3 are going to be set up very, very similarly to number 1. Number 4 was kind of the oddball. It was a little bit different of a question. So this is how we still use everything we know about solving equations, but we write the equation first, and then we are asked to solve it. So we'll see problems like that as well. Okay, so again, email me if you have any questions.